The Quran is a wonderful book for history. Allah speaks in the Quran about a traveler who traveled to the two ends of the land. The Jews wanted to know whether this man in Arabia, a man named Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, who says he's a prophet, does he know about it? A traveler who traveled to the two ends of the land. Ask him about it, because only a prophet will know the answer. And Allah sent down the answer in Surah Al-Kahf. And He says, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ. They question thee about Zulqarnain, someone who will impact on history twice. Qarni can mean horn, it can mean an age. But the Quran has never used the word qarn to mean a horn, never. So Zulqarnain is someone who will impact on history twice. He's also someone who has faith in Allah. And he's someone who is empowered by Allah with power. And that power is such that he can pursue any effort he chooses to pursue. So be careful, huh? Be careful, huh? If you're in the US Armed Forces, you better listen carefully while still there is time. He travels in the direction of the setting of the sun until he comes to a body of water. And the Quran describes it as Aynun Hamiyah, a body of water which is dark and murky. Dark and murky. And then he travels in the direction of the rising of the sun to the end of the land. And there, of course, will be another body of water. And then he travels in a third direction, which takes him to a pass between two mountain ranges. And there in that pass, he comes across Gog and Magog. And only a prophet of Allah would know about Gog and Magog. I can assure you, government of Malaysia doesn't know about Gog and Magog. Security Council of the United Nations cannot tell you about Gog and Magog. No. It's the Quran. Gog and Magog are human beings. But they are human beings who are also given power by Allah. And they use that power for a specific purpose. That power is used to oppress. While in the case of Zulqarnain, he uses his power to punish the oppressor. So they are opposites. The people in that area turned to Zulqarnain and asked him, can you protect us from these evil people, Gog and Magog, who are so powerful and use their power to oppress? And he built a barrier with iron, blocks of iron. And he then said, when Allah chooses, Allah is going to bring down the barrier. When the barrier is brought down, then Gog and Magog will be released. And when they are released, then said our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, that the first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. And by the time the last of them pass, they will say, there used to be water here. Okay, so now let's go to the map, shall we? Okay, here we are. This is the Holy Land here, and the Sea of Galilee is north of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is somewhere here. Here we are, Jerusalem, and the Sea of Galilee will be somewhere here. Okay? Are you following me? Good. So if you know a little bit of geography, you have to come to the conclusion that if Gog and Magog are going to Jerusalem, and that's their destination, Jerusalem, the Hadith does not say Jerusalem, it says Baitul Maqdis. They're going to Jerusalem, that's their destination, and on their way to Jerusalem they have to pass by the Sea of Galilee. Implication is they're coming from the north. They're coming from the north. So now we have to look to the north of Jerusalem to see where there is water. And when we look to the north of Jerusalem to see where there is water, there are only two bodies of water. There's one over here which is called the Mediterranean Sea, okay? And over there's another one called the Black Sea. The Mediterranean Sea does not qualify as Ainun Hamiyah, a body of water which is dark and murky, because visibility is good. You can see deep down, a few meters. But the Black Sea is precisely that, the Black Sea. That's why they gave it the name, the Black Sea, because it is Ainun Hamiyah, exactly what Allah says in the Quran, Ainun Hamiyah. A body of water which is so dark and murky that visibility is probably only 1 meter. It is to this Black Sea that he traveled when he traveled to the setting of the sun. There is no third option. It's either the Mediterranean Sea or the Black Sea. There is no third one. We have eliminated the Mediterranean Sea, so we are absolutely confident in ourselves and our conclusion that Zulkarnain traveled in the direction of the Black Sea. So he has to be traveling here. If he traveled in the direction of the setting of the sun and he came to the Black Sea, then when he traveled in the opposite direction, he'd come to the Caspian Sea. That's right. And in between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, there is a range of mountains which last from this sea to that sea. What are they called? What are they called? The Caucasus Mountains. And in the Caucasus Mountains there is one pass, only one, and it's called the Dariel Gorge. And that's where Zulkarnain built the barrier. And Gog and Magog were then contained, or to use the language of a game called chess. Zulkarnain checkmated them. Checkmated them, okay? He has power, and he uses his power to punish the oppressor. They have power, Gog and Magog, but they use their power to oppress. So he checkmated them. Over here, right here, between these two seas is the Caucasus Mountains. In the Quran, Allah refers to Gog and Magog while speaking about a town. And he says the town was destroyed, the people of the town were expelled, and then a ban was placed on them that they could never return to this town to reclaim it as their own until, number one, Gog and Magog are released, and number two, they spread out in all directions, and with their irresistible power, they take control of the world in the world order of Gog and Magog. When that happens, then you'll see these people coming back to the town to reclaim it as their own. Which town is it? The answer is now very well known. It's Jerusalem. So when you see the Jews being brought back, we're talking now about the Israelite Jews, not the European Jews. When you see the Israelite Jews being brought back to the Holy Land from Yemen, from Iraq, from Syria, from Egypt, from Morocco, all over the world, where they were spread out. وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمٍ. And you see them being brought back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. And you see a state of Israel being restored in the Holy Land. And you see that state of Israel rising to become a ruling state in the world. Then you must know it's Gog and Magog. It's Gog and Magog who is doing it. The Khalifa sent an army sometime around the year 50 Hijri. Sorry, not an army. This is in all the books of Tafsir. He sent an expedition to try and locate that barrier which was built by Zulkarnain. That expedition returned with the news that they located the barrier. And it was lying in ruins. So if you're waiting for Gog and Magog to come sometime in the future, brother, keep waiting. The barrier is lying in ruins. And companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they themselves gave the testimony that they went and saw with their own eyes. They located the barrier and it was lying in ruins. Where was it located? In a pass between the Caucasus Mountains. So when you hear the term white Caucasian male, there's something behind that to look into. White Caucasian male.